What's up, everyone? Did another live feed with Trevor Jameson of MotionAutoTv. We also did some cool little drifting and burnouts out in the parking lot of his shop, so check that out. And it was a real good time. Thanks, Trevor, for letting me come hang out. And guys, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you like these interviews or if you're liking the vlogs. And if you haven't checked them out, please do so. This is Trevor Jameson of MotionAutoTv, and he has a pretty large following on YouTube and Instagram and Facebook and everything.
Not Facebook.
Well,
Not Facebook.
He's got a following on there.
Yeah.
It's nowhere close to his YouTube, but that's where you concentrate all your time, right?
Yeah, YouTube's where I think is where it's at anyhow, with engagement and kind of the community that you have around it. So
yeah, it would just kind of the whole gist of it, right? Just it fits what you're doing, and I guess you could consider what you do is vlogging.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like an auto vlog.
Auto vlog where he talks and he'll go over projects and how, like you said, you're kind of a painter at heart, so you've painted cars and shown people how to paint, tips and tricks and the issues you run into, and you don't just try to hide it all and make it look all pretty at the end.
That's the thing about YouTube is it's not a TV show, you know, so
right.
like it's actually me building the car, it's actually, you know, me going through the issues and the, you know, the ups and the downs and kind of taking everybody along for the ride and showing them that, you know, it's not this pretty TV show, you know, where everything just happens perfect and there's this timeline and, you know, you finish it in the last minute, you know. I mean, it's real life and stuff happens and, you know, things break and you mess up and like you don't know what you're doing sometimes.
That's some of the best content though.
Yeah, and you don't know what you're doing sometimes, but you try to figure it out and bring people along, so.
For sure. So, I mean, let's kind of go back to when you first got into cars. And
that's way back.
Like
that's like I don't know, probably 5 years old with the little Tonka truck.
Sure.
You know,
it's all
just
Hot Wheels and everything anyway.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, I think we wore grooves in the carpet at my parents' house with the damn Tonka trucks, just like the little dump truck. You just grab on the back of it and just run around the house as fast as you could. I mean, pretty much there. And then it was, you know, like BMX bikes and stuff.
Sure.
And then you know, tinkering with those and RC cars. Got really into the nitro RC cars.
I was into those
when I was in middle school. And that's pretty much all I did. That's kind of where I learned how to work on cars was those damn RC cars.
Yeah, like a little
you know?
clutch and all the Yeah,
the little like centrifugal thing, or was it like the little? That's not a centrifugal clutch. That's It's like a clutch basket.
Kind of,
yeah. Whatever it is. Anyhow, like those things, replacing motors, blowing them up, tuning them, you know, breaking suspension parts and stuff.
Never tuning them right though.
Yeah, I know. Like, you'd rip up and down the street, and you're like sitting there grabbing the screwdriver, and you're like, "Oh, it's lean. Oh, it's rich." It's like, okay, it blew up. I remember I was sad. The dog like picked up my, you know, because we had a Rottweiler,
right?
And he picked it up by the rear tire and started shaking it, and then the air filter like flew off of it, and then you know, I did like a donut, and then like that was the best that thing ever ran, because the air filter fell off it and it had like dirt in the engine, so you know, like as soon as something's getting ready to blow up, that's the best it's ever gonna run, and it blew up. You know, like a minute later, I ripping down the street and it just locked up, and but yeah, so that pretty much that. And then my first car I got was when I was 14 years old. It was a '72 Datsun 510 two-door, and my uncle actually gave that to me as my great grandma's, and she bought it here in Pueblo.
So it's
like way back in the day.
Yeah, that's cool.
From actually Solon in '75.
Wow.
So I think it was used for like a couple of years, but she bought it, so that was her car, and I didn't know anything about like the Datsuns and the 510s and like the road racing like heritage and like kind of the pedigree that they almost have. But yeah, like I got that thing, and then the first thing I did was get on the internet, and then I started learning kind of about drifting then, you know, for 240s, and then I basically went straight into like an engine swap with it.
Right.
I drove it up and down the street. Did like a you know, like a 44 millimeter like, how do you say it? Mikuni?
Oh, I
don't know, carburetor on it, little side draft, and then
that's so crazy though.
Yeah, did like little carburetor and stuff on it because it was already a manual. So did a couple things to it, and then I was like, all right, pulled it out, sold the engine, and then I put like a K engine, which is a factory like fuel injected 4-cylinder out of a 240 SX in there. That was when I was like 15, 16, you know, all while doing body work and you know, basically kind of learning.
Sure.
I had a YouTube channel back then, but I didn't really focus on that stuff.
It wasn't like big,
Yeah, it
right? I
wasn't-
mean, it's just where you put your videos, and
Yeah, it was
nobody
like-
knew, like, I'm putting it on this site, but
Yeah, it was like I did a lot of dirt bike stuff back then, so it was
Okay.
mostly like messing with dirt bike things and riding wheelies and stuff.
so you'd video
And
those.
then yeah, there was a couple Datsun things here and there, and some like working on diesel trucks and that. But yeah, the Datsun was pretty much where I learned a lot, about like wiring, paint and body work, all
Right.
that stuff. And it was mostly because I just like went out in the garage and did it.
Yeah.
My dad's a mechanic, and he's ever since we were little, he's always working in his garage. Or working in the garage, but never anything like performance-wise. He's always doing like oil changes.
I see.
And
Your general maintenance
Yeah,
type.
just general maintenance. Sure. And so never any performance things. And then that's what I was mostly interested in. So I was like looking at turbo kits and all kinds of crazy stuff. And then I kind of ran into some turbo Hondas, started playing with those things.
Seems like everybody had a Honda at some point, right?
Yeah, that's like it's like the cheapest, most fun like thing you could do. And then you could like break it and go get it.
Yeah, you can beat on them and
break it and throw another motor in it, or rebuild it super cheap. And I was messing with like tuning Hondata and stuff.
Oh, okay.
When I was like in high school.
Is that kind of your first like thing into tuning?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just turbo Hondas. Basically, I bought a turbo a Honda that was already turboed, had like no tuning on it at all. It was like fully built motor, but like tons of like fully built, like forged internals, but like all kinds of eBay parts on it. And then it was on stock injectors.
Oh.
It had this big giant like NASCAR fuel pump underneath it that like when you started the car, it would just like that's all you heard was the fuel pump.
Fuel pump's louder than the engine in it?
Yeah, pretty much. And the fuel pressure was cranked to 80 psi.
Holy cow.
And
Through
that's
stock injectors?
Stock injectors.
That's
it was
crazy.
turboed. And I didn't know. I was like, what is this thing? Like I didn't know anything about like air-fuel ratios and stuff. And
Injector
there's
sizing
like,
and will it even
like
work?
I had like a little narrow band like gauge on this like turbo timer, and like when you get into boost, it like went to 16, and I was like, oh, that's good. It's got plenty of fuel,
It's only slightly leaner.
Yeah, I was like, no, 16, that's good. It's got plenty. And so yeah, I don't know.
It's within the gauge.
Yeah, and then I started talking to some dude off Craigslist, and he like came down and like janky tuned it on like a ROM tune, and I bought like injectors and did all kinds of stuff, and then ended up selling that. I actually ended up trading that thing, and then found another turbo car like down the road that actually had Hondata in it, and where you could actually plug in the laptop and data log all the things, and like everything was real time, and you're like could watch a wideband and like adjust things and watch it move, and I was like, oh, okay. You do a pull, it like breaks up, and you're like, okay, that was lean.
You could actually see it and understand like.
And so yeah, that's pretty much my first kind of introduction, but to like performance things and tuning was like damn Hondas.
Yeah.
And then shortly after that, I turboed the KA engine that was in my Datsun, and then eventually pulled that out and did a SR20 swap. So.
And that's what's in it now.
Yeah.
Did you still have the car? It's not here.
It's not here. Yeah, I moved it to my house. It was just getting neglected down here and just kind of in the way. I had some more projects they're kind of taking priority.
There's only a few here, so.
Yeah, there's a lot. But.
No, I like those little cars though. They're different. Not everybody has them.
Yeah.
So then you went through that. So that kind of more of a drag racing, because you did a little bit of that, right?
Yeah, and then so the first videos on my channel. So you guys aren't familiar, my channel is MotionAutoTv on YouTube. I just recently hit like 206,000 subscribers or so, and so anyhow, my first videos on the channel was actually a Mustang. I bought, I think it was a 95 5-liter, like, what is it, SN95? I think that's the body style.
Yep.
So it was the 5 liters, 5-speed manual, and black on black, and basically bought it from this guy that needed, I think it needed something super simple, like it wouldn't idle, and then I adjusted the idle screw, and then it ran beautiful. Yeah, but it like sat in his garage for like 3 years, so I got it cheap. I think I did some burnouts with it. I think that was one of the first cars I did a burnout and a donut with, and then ended up selling it, and then I got a Fox body Mustang, and I got this thing super cheap. I think it was like $300 off of Craigslist. Yeah. It had a 5-liter and automatic, and I wanted to turbo it. I got on the internet and I seen all these like on-3 turbo kits and stuff.
Yeah.
And that was like when they first came out too. And
that was the only. You're like looking at, you're like,
that was the only thing they had was like the 5-liter, like the old school 5-liter like turbo kits. And that
was like their very first kit of anything they did.
And so I wanted to do that, but the car was like super like rough. I mean, paint, bodywork, everything. It looked like somebody like dripped Bondo on it, like on
really?
I don't know. it was like they were making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
And they're like, yeah, that's close.
With the body filler on the side. Didn't scuff nothing. It was all like rattle can primered. But I ended up painting that thing in 3 days. That was the first car I ever painted.
Really?
I just got like a little electric DA out and just went to town on it and like rattle can primed it again. And
better than it was.
And then got some single stage and painted it yellow and like made it to like the, throw like some like used like tire shop tires on it. And then went to the drag strip and ran like a 17. I think it was like 17.9, 18.2. Like that's.
Were you all disappointed?
Well, I mean, I thought it was cool just to be out.
Just to go do it.
Yeah, because I was in high school at that time, so that was 2010. So I was a junior. I think I just recently got.
So it was a fairly.
Yeah.
And being at altitude and everything else, but you always look it up. How fast should my car be? And then you go to the track here, and you're like, oh, I wasn't quite with it.
Yeah, and then I just thought it would be like a little bit more like exciting than that, because I mean it was pretty much like you're taking off from a stoplight.
Right.
I think it did like 88 miles an hour.
Yeah,
or something.
you're not like going some crazy speed or anything.
But yeah, so I did I think 2 or 3 nights of like the high school drags with that, and then shortly after that I ended up selling that, and then I bought, it was a 76 Datsun 280Z. And
the kind of red and silver.
Yeah, and so it had a small block Chevy, a supercharged 383 stroker with a big old wind, not a big wind blower, but I don't even know the size on it, but it was running like 7 pounds.
Was that like a blow through, like on a carburetor?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or it was a pull through, so carb was on the top.
Yeah, I got you.
But yeah, so I bought that thing on Craigslist and it needed paint, and he actually had it at the drag strip like the weekend before I bought it. And I seen it there, and I was like, "Oh, that thing's kind of cool." Had like this big old like NASCAR style, not NASCAR, like drag style like hood scoop and stuff on it. And so I got that thing from him, and then I ended up painting it like 2 weeks later. But like the first run out, I think it did like a 12.
Oh, that was a big difference. 1
or like a 12.18 or something like that. But that was the fastest it ever did. The very first run, because I put slicks on it.
Oh, really?
Because he was running like 14s with it, but it was just spinning because it had like these 295 tires on the back, but it still spun because all the torque.
Yeah.
And I ended up picking up a set of slicks from this other Mustang guy and put them on there, and it ran like a 12.18 or something the first time. And then after that, it slowly got it was like 12.2, 12.3.
The first pass ever.
Yeah, and so I think I finished out kind of the season for down here at PMI or whatever, doing the high school things. And then they had some sort of thing for Pink's All Out.
Oh, in Denver.
Yeah. And so I ended up getting a ticket to go to like Pink's All Out. And then so I did that. Went up there, and then this huge ordeal over not because it had a fuel cell in the back, but there was no like firewall. So it was like
Denver's super strict on tech.
So there was like this like huge ordeal of like this dude had this sheet metal and like on the under the floor of his race car in his trailer, and we were like tin snipping it out and like
we're gonna go racing,
pop riveting it in there. Yeah, I mean, I wish I had was more serious into the YouTube thing then.
Sure.
Because that was a lot of fun.
Seems like that's what anybody that's kind of like made it or has like more legit videos now, they kind of wish they had all the original.
Yeah. Then mostly just for like memory's sake,
right.
Just to be able to look back at it
and see where you kind of was and what you were doing and working on.
Kind of at the end of the day, that's almost what's so cool about YouTube is that you could look back, 3 or 5 years. Like my channel started in 2010. That's 8 years ago. That's crazy that I could look back that far and like see how like all the projects and all the things that I've kind of done.
Do you do that very often?
Go back and look. Yeah. Sometimes I'll go back or somebody else will go back and comment, because then it'll refresh it in like my notifications, and it'll be on like one of my Mustang videos from way back in the day, or I had like a 240 that I got that was my first like official drift car, and that I like rebuilt the engine in a bunch of times, and it was like turboed and just kept being finicky and stuff, and I'd like pull out the engine the night before the drift event, and a bunch of stuff like that.
Try to slam it back together and go.
Yeah, but so that's.
Alex was asking, would you ever build another drag car? Or you like sticking with the drift?
I would say probably drifting. Yeah, I mean, unless it was something like super fast, but almost.
Sounds like a Super would make a sick drag car.
Yeah, so that's.
That's getting into crazy.
Yeah, so I mean, I wouldn't necessarily make like I wouldn't necessarily make like a specific drag car, but I think I'll always kind of like take my cars to the drag strip.
Sure.
You know, like
Just
the
to play,
the Super, when I get it done, you know, I'll probably have like a set of slicks for it, you know, and take it and kind of fart around with it. Like I've taken my drift car down the drag strip, and
checking around on the streets and
stuff like
else.
that.
Yeah, it's always fun. So that kind of got you to there, and then that was kind of your last drag racing car.
Pretty much
the 240?
Was that or the 280Z?
280.
Yeah. And then after that, one of my buddies, Jesse, he told me that there's this drifting, because I had a 240. I bought one off Craigslist, and messed around with it for a little bit, but it was like a single cam automatic, and I was like, I don't even want to really mess with this thing. So I ended up selling it, and I got another one, and then I like knew about drifting, you know, because my Datsun and everything. So I went to this parking lot and like tried to do a donut, but it had like an open diff, and I was like, you know, this car isn't gonna work for it. And
thought you just had like a factory drift car and it wasn't quite.
Yeah, I was like, I got a 240. This thing's gonna slay. And so yeah, I did like some burnouts and stuff with it, and then I ended up getting rid of that one, which I shouldn't have got rid of it because that one was really, really clean. It was a nice car. Ended up selling that one, and then went to a drift event, and then like it was like the weekend after that, I bought two 240s. One of my friends, Shelby, she does a lot of, you know, Shelby Ortiz?
Yeah.
She does all the circle track stuff.
Sure.
So I bought two 240s from her and her dad, and a coupe, and then a hatch. And that hatch, I still have it outside. It has Integra taillights in it.
Oh, okay.
And so I bought that. But my first drift event I went to, I rode in a 500 and some horsepower 2JZ SC300.
Yeah.
So I was like,
crazy.
I was like, no. I was like, this is it.
This is what I need to do.
Because it's like, you got like the power, you know, it's so exciting, you know.
Right.
And it's not
constant.
it's not like just 10 seconds down the strip. It's like a run, you know. It's like back-to-back runs. Like you could do, you know, depending on the track, but you know, between like 30 seconds and a minute of like actual driving, you know. And then when you do
the adrenaline gets going, it just kind of stays.
And then you know, you get back in grid, and then you do you know, especially when you get into like the competitions and stuff, if you make it further down the line, like let's say you do a top 32 and you do your qualifying runs, and then you know, you go from there and you make it past like the top 32, you get in top 16, then everything goes quick, because you do like a lead run and then a follow run behind the other car.
I know enough that like I understand what you're saying, but I don't understand the scoring and how.
Yeah. And so, you know, basically like the judging on drifting, it's like speed, angle, style, like clipping points, and then like proximity to the other car.
Guy.
So, you know, you're essentially trying to like mimic their line and kind of be on their door, and then back off during transitions, and then get back up to their door again, and then back off again, and then back up.
So you're trying to hug them as close as you can to like more or less say like, I can follow your line better than you can follow mine.
And you know, it's kind of whoever does it. You know, for your lead run, you pretty much have to run like a qualifying score. So there's certain points on the track that, you know, you're supposed to hit or be close to, you know, whether, you know, the front of your car, the rear of your car.
Sure.
You know, so you're supposed to run like a good solid line, like in your lead run, and then the car behind you is supposed to just mimic it as best as they can. So, I just feel like there's so much more driving involved. There's a lot of there's not a bunch of crazy classes and rules and stuff as far as it goes.
Is there really any rules?
I mean, there is as far as safety and I mean,
right, but as far as like cars versus cars, like,
I mean, no, there's.
So you can take this car to any event and drift.
Pretty much.
In like pretty much any class.
Other than like the FD, you have to have like a license. So you have to kind of go up through the ranks. So there's like, you know, grassroots, and you go to like a pro-am level, which is kind of a region, you know, and all kind of the decent guys with like, there's requirements for the cars, so they have to be like caged and, you know, like presentable, and, you know, mostly it's safety stuff.
Right, and then you're not going to go out and trash the course or your car, the guy that you're running against car or anything like that.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then, so like Pro-Am, so if you have to basically get top 3 in a Pro-Am series to go to Pro 2, and then after Pro 2, I think you have to be top 8 in Pro 2, and then you could get like a Pro 1 license, which that's like Formula Drift, like the top, like the best guys.
So your license is like where your rank in or what event you can go run and stuff.
I mean, anybody could pretty much show up to a Pro-Am event if their car is capable.
Sure.
You know, and then, I mean, whether or not they're a good driver, I mean, get eliminated or whatever based on that. So they'll do either if they're great, they'll make it all the way through the pack. If they're not, they'll get knocked out right away.
Try again.
Yeah. And just back to the drawing board and go
try to do it different.
go practice and come back out. So
is there, I guess, if you're going to kind of build an all-around drift car, would like 550 horsepower make it, or because you don't want an underpowered car to be able to keep up and stuff, right?
So in FD right now, it's like 1,000 horsepower.
Like minimum, that's
pretty much
where you need to be.
I would say the lowest horsepower guy is probably 7.
Wow,
and
that's crazy.
And there's guys with like 1,300 horsepower cars that it's insane. And then you also got to think of it from like a builder's perspective. You're not running. I feel like drifting is like probably the hardest thing you could do on a car, other than just like hot lapping something, because you're in the throttle,
brakes,
like
throttle.
Full power, 100%, like initiate, like pushing the clutch like e-brake, and then all of a sudden you got these like 285 super sticky tires on the back, and you're like, oh no, wide open throttle, clutch kick, and then like power all the way through a bank, and then crazy. On off the throttle, and it's not just like a drag pass where it's
like road course racing your car, but even harder.
Yeah,
because you're so close to the limiter all the time.
And then heat is a big thing, because your car's sideways, so you don't have air moving in, through the car. You have it moving sideways.
Right. Makes sense. So there's all sorts of different little struggles to.
Yeah, and then fluids and everything are going from side to side, and so you got to make sure your oil systems, kind of.
A lot of those cars kind of run like a dry sump.
Yeah, some of them, like the big guys, do.
Yeah.
Like for LSs, you have to have like a baffled oil pan, because they'll like blow up if you don't. Like JZs, they don't seem like they care. They just like stock. You just put them in there, and they're like, oh, what's up?
It's all good. Something that I thought was cool is you had one of your YouTube videos is the $300 Beamer or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's what, like with drifting, to go drag racing, you can take a 20-second car, but you're not going to compete. Mm-hmm. So then with drifting, sure, the $300 car is not going to compete with the $30,000 car, but you can still play. So it's a little bit closer of a.
So like some of the local people, we've kind of talked about it. And I've kind of been like, all right, well, we're going to do it. Essentially getting like cheaper cars to just go like thrash in, because like the fenders on this car, like $400 for the pair of fenders. Like the front bumpers, like $400, side skirts. It just gets really expensive.
Headlight.
Yeah, the headlight in like the Mustang, that
like it'll be a cool car, but not something you want to beat on all the time.
Yeah, and kind of the reason for like the thrash cars or the missile cars to like push yourself to the next level, like being able to drive super, super aggressive and get comfortable with tandeming really, really close.
Oh, okay.
Without having to put this thing on the line.
Just like a practice car.
Yeah. And so
you don't care what happens.
If you're going up, if you're going like that's, 150 horsepower car, you go up against another 150 horsepower car. You guys are both like on each other's bumpers as you're like initiating and then like stay. It just, that's kind of the whole idea behind that. So a couple of guys here in Colorado locally are gonna they have cars, and I think we're doing February 18th at IMI Motorsports in Dacono, which is a little bit north of Denver.
Yep, I've been there. That's where I got all this stuff from my drift track from. Yeah, I think it's the same place. They have like the go-kart stuff and then the big track right there.
Yeah, and the little go-kart track, and we drift there all the time. So we're having kind of like a little like bro day up there, and where just a bunch of guys are bringing not like our like pro-am level or like tandem-able cars there. We're just bringing our basic cars, and we're gonna go thrash with each other. So what
do you think on average those guys will have into that car? If you're gonna say let's build
where I'm at in that BMW. So I did coilovers, which were like $320 or something. Like one suspension, like the adjustable tow arm in the back, which was like $50, just like a super eBay like cheap arm. I welded a seat to the stock power bracket. Put a little handbrake extension on the handbrake so it would actually work.
It's not some crazy hydro.
Yeah, no crazy hydro thing. And then I welded the diff, and then there's like this little steering angle like adapters I got. They're like $45 and supposed to give you a little bit more angle. I think I have to go through a little bit more and like actually extend the control arms
to get it to where it actually feels.
Yeah,
kind of correct.
Really, I don't have that much in the car. Probably less than $1,200.
Do you think those other guys will have about that in the similar car?
If they don't just go out and just buy something.
Just start getting crazy.
That most guys that are drifting, they kind of do it themselves, and do it. They wrench in their garage. So
if somebody wanted to get into it, say tomorrow, what would you suggest they go look for?
The Nissan 370 or 350Z.
Just go buy a 350Z and go beat on it,
and just buy it. Buy it, weld the diff, throw coilovers as a seat and like a steering wheel.
And like, you go play.
And maybe like a Hydro e-brake and like remove the bump stops so you get a little bit more steering angle.
I might have to look for one.
You should. Yeah, 350Z, it would be like...
I think I've always thought it'd be cool, like from the drift tracks. I was like, man, it'd be fun to drift a car and just beat
Well, I could go fire up the BMW here in a little bit. We could go slide around in the parking lot.
So. Yeah, might as well just something to play with, you know? When it's that cheap, that's cheap entertainment.
Oh, yeah. And then, like the 350Z, it has a decent amount of power stock. You pretty much leave it stock for a while you're learning to drive. Because I feel like a lot of people, when they get into, especially drifting is like, they feel like they need to build this like Pro-Am level or like this FD car, and they've never even driven before. So they're like, oh, I need an LS, I need a quick change, I need this angle kit, I need
a $15,000 car and I've never stepped into.
I need this roll cage, and they've never even done like donuts in a parking lot, and like, I don't know. I mean, my biggest advice would be like, go to a drift event, ride with some people.
There you go. And kind of start learning and understanding.
See if it's even something you want to do, see if you like the people, if you like the vibe of the event, ride with a couple of people. I mean, everybody at the drift events, it's not, that's another thing is people are it's like such a nice community and people like, if I'm getting ready to go in a tandem battle with somebody and somebody's car is broken that's getting ready to like go, but I have the part, like I'm gonna get out of my car, go to my trailer, like get under their car and help them get their car ready for the next battle, because I don't want to win by just winning, by default. Yeah, like you want to battle, you want to earn it,
Right, sure.
And pretty much that's the mentality throughout drifting.
And it's more relaxed, or like as far as it's your guys' turn. Like at the drag strip, you sit, and then it's a big push, like now or not.
Yeah.
Is like if we go to the half mile stuff, it's as you kind of want to go play, you get to go play. Like
and so like on the actual tandem competitions, it's like that. It's like, hey, you're supposed to be on grid right now, like you got to go. But like the grassroots or like the random just go out and play days, it's just pretty much go out on track, go out on track stay out there. Like IMI, it's nice because you could hot lap for like 10 minutes. Like the BMW, I stayed out there. I killed an entire set of tires. I just stayed out there.
Just keep beating on it.
Yeah, I think I was out there for 30 minutes.
Wow. That's a lot of fun.
I just stayed out there for 30 minutes around the go-kart track's like a mile, and so like you drift. I don't know. It's probably a quarter of a mile, a little bit over a quarter of a mile of actual drifting on it, and then the rest is kind of a cool down lap, and then like leading up to it. So then,
there's like one good little section that you use. I see.
Yeah, and then so you basically come back in, you kind of like stop along the track and like find a guy that you want to drive with, and then kind of go from there. So yeah, it's definitely a lot of fun. I'd say bang for your buck. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, as far as anything car. Well, I guess like as far as going and buying a car to start out with, you're looking for the cars that nobody else. It's already beat up. Like
Well, I was looking on my buddy Jesse. He was talking about swapping like an NAJZ into one of his cars to like have like a thrash car, and like you start adding it all up and doing the stuff. And I was like, you're close to a 350Z.
Yeah.
And like you could buy it and just not have to swap it, not have to do a bunch of stuff to it.
Just go play.
And like there's a 350Z on Facebook Marketplace that was he's asking like $3,000. He said he'd do like $2,500 for it. It's like a 03 6-speed manual.
You put another 5 into it, and
yeah, exactly. Like so maybe
$3,000. You got a cool little drift car, or
like weld the diff, and I'd say minimum set of coilovers and weld the diff. The seat. I'd say the seat is a huge part of drifting, because like the stock seat in the BMW is like a leather one, and there's like no like
so you just slide it around.
Yeah, so like you throw it in a corner, and then all of a sudden, like instead of like putting inputs into the steering wheel and like turning the car, you're like holding on to the car like the steering wheel trying to hold on.
Sure.
So.
Well, that's kind of cool. I wouldn't mind doing something like that. That'd be kind of fun.
Yeah, maybe after when the live stream's done, I'll take you out in the BMW. Yeah. We'll just go wake that thing up from the dead and rip around the parking lot. Yeah.
So I guess it's sitting outside, and you got a few cars in here. So you can, in whatever order, I guess we'll talk about them. You got the Super that's sitting behind us. This is a pretty big project because it's a full build.
Yeah, that's the main thing. I'm like, should we show like a timeline of it?
Yeah. Yeah, so if Trevor's got some pictures,
I
we'll
wish
pull
we could
that
do
up.
like a slideshow, like we're sitting here and we're like talk about a car, and I just like flick it up on the screen and like talk about it for a minute.
Right. There's plenty to talk about. So, drift while you are live, he says. Jim wants us to go do donuts on the live stream.
Oh, we could do that.
We'll do
so
that.
This was the Supra when I got it.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Sorry if it's not picking it up that great. But yeah, so 95 Mark IV Toyota Supra, basically pulled it out of a field in up by Chicago. And so it was actually one of my subscribers on YouTube. I was talking about it. I was like, I want a Mark IV Supra, and he like messaged me and he sent me that picture, and I was like, holy crap. And I like messed around for like 2 weeks. And I was like, I don't even know if I want that thing. But like you couldn't find them in like a project state. You know?
They're super rare.
And,
that's for sure.
So yeah, then did paint, body work, all that stuff, and you know it's been kind of an ongoing project for a while now on my channel. But
so let's see if Derek, it is a judge competition on drifting, and then
it's like figure skating. Is what it's like that's an easy way to kind of.
Josh says digging the Supra videos, man, watching from Virginia.
Oh, thanks, Josh.
And then Alex was saying, that one we already went over. Somebody was asking in here if there's anybody, right here, if you could challenge anyone in Formula Drift in a tandem battle, who would you choose?
It'd probably just be Chris Forsberg, just because he's like got the championship so many times, and like I'd probably just
to do it.
I'd probably just get it handed to me and I'd lose, but it would be just cool to drive with him. You know, like that's.
So one way to learn, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Being right there by
it's just having and that's the other thing about drifting too, is like I went to Winter Jam in California, and there's like FD like pro guys and stuff, and Forrest Wang, which is another super like awesome driver that I look up to, and he's been in FD for a couple years now, and he wasn't for 2017, but he's going back in 18. But yeah, he I wasn't driving my car. Adam was driving my car, and like Adam was like, no, don't, because he was like behind us, and he was like, yeah, we're tandeming. And Adam was like, no, like it was his first time on the track, like that day in my car. He'd driven somebody else's car, and like he just like sent it right behind us. Like we just took off, and he was like right on our bumper. And then like we got down to the bottom of the hill, and like there's this fender and this like screaming 2J, like 1,000 horsepower 2J, like in the door of like my car, but I'm in the passenger seat. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's different at that point when you're you're just along for the ride.
Nuts.
And
yeah, we're gonna get you converted to the drift life.
What's going on, Armando? Thanks, buddy, for tuning in. If you guys would please share the video for us, we'd appreciate it.
I think I should probably share it on my personal page too.
Yeah, definitely quite a few people in here with the all about the drift. Thanks, Cameron.
How many sets of RPF wheels do you? I only have one set, and I just transfer them between the car that like rolls in that has
the same. Is that what those are?
Yeah, I've had those wheels for like years, and I just like put them on everything.
What's the plans for the Civic on the rack?
I don't know. So I've had that thing for a while now, and it's just been sitting up there, and it was sitting around the shop, and it was like you couldn't even see it because there was so much crap on it. And that's how the car is that's on the top too.
So he has them like stacked in here.
Yeah, so the Civic in the middle, that's a turbo Civic that I acquired, and it just ended up doing some stuff. Had to do like a time certain in the block because it pulled the head stud out of it, and then basically somebody like wire tucked it with like a jillion like butt connectors, so the wiring's all like frazzled on the engine bay, and it looks really nice and it's all tucked, but it's like just tons of butt connectors and like going through holes in the firewall with no grommets, and like so plan is like do a wiring harness and then actually get it going and paint it, but I just it just kind of
it's like project 8 or 9 in the list.
It was already on the corner of the shop like 2 years ago, like forgotten about, and then I was just like, we need some space, but I don't want to push it outside, but I don't want to like give it away on Craigslist, so we're gonna put it on the lift.
And you had some real big ramps, so you drove them up on there, right?
No, the forklift. Yeah, the forklift. The neighbor has a forklift, so that
helps store the cars, but it takes a little bit to get them down.
Yeah. Well, not too bad. I just gotta like yell at him and be like, "Hey, let's play forklift," and he'll come over with the forklift and we'll yank it off. So
then So what's the overall plans, I guess, with the Supra then? Because
Yeah,
you got an engine sitting over here.
Well, I thought about
Right.
stealing that and putting that in the Mustang. So
You're all about the Mustang right
no,
now.
I am the Mustang. It's like I got. If you see like a twinkle in my eye, it's for that Mustang.
That's where it's at.
But
So let's talk about the Mustang. So the Mustang is a 15?
yeah, 2015.
And you got a picture of it.
Yeah, I'll show you a picture of that one. I'll show you what it was when I got it.
This was what, a couple weeks ago?
Yeah,
Month,
I think about a
maybe?
month ago, a little over a month ago.
So Trevor has a thing where he likes to buy auction vehicles. I've kind of
Yeah,
noticed.
it's bad to have an account where you're able to buy. I go through a broker on like the insurance auto auctions, and so this is the Mustang that I got, 2015. It's wrecked in the front. Uh-oh.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, there's the good picture right there. So basically the whole driver's side was pushed back, and so I did the frame rail, radiator support, hood, bumper, all that stuff basically.
So
And then-
it's together.
So now it's together, yeah. So this is the first time I've actually seen it looking like a Mustang. It was just like 5 minutes. I seen him pull in, and I was like, oh, I forgot we're doing a live stream tonight. So that's what it looks like now. So it looks like a Mustang again.
And you've done donuts in it?
Oh, I've done, yeah, plenty of donuts. So,
So-
it's a
Yeah, go ahead.
2.3 EcoBoost with the automatic. And those things are, if you guys don't know, but they make like 310 horse stock.
Yeah,
It's just a
that's-
4-cylinder
yeah,
in a
that's
Mustang,
insane.
so which is nuts.
Should
But-
be able to up the boost and
Yeah, I mean, people
some
get
more.
they run like 20 pounds of boost from the factory,
wow.
like stock.
so that's pretty
But
crazy.
yeah, people do like bigger turbos. I think somebody ran like 10s with it before, like just basically like a bolt-on turbo and stock
Just some
tranny
small
and all,
upgrades and
yeah.
everything.
But I mean, people could easily squeeze over 400 out of them. Once I think you get a little bit around the 500 past that, people build the motors and do all that. So I thought about going that route, but I just don't want to. I don't know. Sometimes, like, it's not bad to like do a new path, but in drifting, I don't know how they would handle. So supposedly, I heard that they don't like high RPMs for like a super long time,
okay.
and that's pretty much all it would be.
So
doing, is,
longevity
like,
of it might.
yeah, but I know 2JZs, and I mean they seem to like kind of whatever.
Beat on them and they do
Somebody
good.
just said to put the 2J in the Mustang and the EcoBoost in the Supra. I honestly thought about that. A long time ago, I was messing around with the idea of putting. I have a Honda S2000 engine, and I was messing around with putting that in the Supra. Because it would almost sit behind the strut towers because there's so much room in the engine bay because I had inline 6. I thought it'd just be hilarious.
Just be something
Yeah,
different.
because it's aluminum block.
Watch
aluminum
everybody
head.
unsubscribe from your
Like,
channel on YouTube because they're
Super-
mad at
oh,
you.
people were upset because I made a whole video about it, and yeah, they were upset about that. But
They influenced your build.
yeah, but I don't know. Part of the we were talking about the Supra, like what's the plan with that? So I want to do some half mile stuff with it. Essentially,
Yep.
just kind of like a clean, nice street Supra that makes a lot of power, and I'm not planning
You
on
can
drifting it.
yeah,
or,
just drive and really enjoy.
and I mean, I think, speaking for a lot of people, it's probably one of their dream cars. I mean, ever since Fast and Furious, just like the body lines and just the way they look and the power, like the power capabilities and the potential of the 2JZ, like just made the Supra just kind of like this awesome car in everybody's mind. And it's always been that way for me. So I've always wanted one, but now I kind of don't want to have a 2J in it.
Right.
Well, because I want it to be different. Like the color of it's kind of different, but it's still a candy apple red, like Supra. Essentially, it's a Lexus color, but it's just gonna be like a clean 2JZ Supra that makes a lot of power. Like
Yeah, just
like that's every Supra that you see is like a clean 2J's, like a clean 2J Supra that makes a
some
lot of
good
power. Like I don't know. I think it would be cool to be a clean Supra that makes a lot of power, maybe with something else.
Sure.
I was entertaining the idea of the Ford Barrett engine.
What is that?
So it's they only made them. They made them in Australia for Australia. They're in the I think they started them in 2002, and then ended in 2016, or maybe it was 98. But basically, like all the like Ford Falcon, like taxi cabs. It's like a 4-door sedan, and they have like the little utes, like the little truck-looking things
Sure.
too.
Yeah.
But they had like an NA version that made like 200 and some horse, and then they have a turbo version, and from the factory they make like 350 horse.
So something that's like nobody's ever heard of.
Yeah.
But
And
what's
so-
in it? Well,
But it's a 4-liter inline six with a factory turbo, the turbo ones, and they have like a Garrett GT3576 on them, so decent sized turbo from the factory, and pretty much like with a tune, like just basically flashing the stock ECU and tuning it and up in the boost, they make like 500 horse.
Wow.
And they're
a little sleeper engine, for sure.
And so it's kind of like Australia's 2J, but it's like a domestic. It's a Ford engine. So I initially thought about putting that in the Mustang, and then just leaving the 2JZ in the Supra. But I think it'd be funny to like bear the Supra and 2JZ the Mustang.
2JZ the Mustang, have all sorts of mutts running.
Well, and then like you can't get. You can't get like Barra parts. Like you can get them here in the States, but you have to order them from Australia. So let's say if I was drifting across, somewhere on the other side of the country, and then I needed like a starter, an alternator, some timing thing, or something simple that you would be able to get. You're like, oh, okay, well now I have to order it from Australia,
right?
And wait for it. So that's kind of, I'm like, it's okay if the Supra's down, but it's not okay if the drift car's down. I got to have that thing.
Well, that's where you've been with the drift car, right? Because you've pretty much been on it for how long now?
Like, it's almost been it has been 2 years with the 2J in it. And I haven't even pulled it. Like, a lot of people pull out their engines and, like, refresh them. And, like, I think I might have to actually pull it out this season because there's, like, it's leaking.
Yeah.
But other than that, I'm just going to pull it out, look at it, like, maybe throw some new seals in it, seal up the oil pan, and just slap it back in. Yeah, that thing's been awesome to me. It's
That's
like
cool.
Almost bad because it's boring because I can't make videos of it breaking because it just doesn't break.
It just doesn't break. That's you just see it out in the video and it's drifting, then
and then
it's back and it's drifting.
Like honestly, I could just leave it in the trailer and just change the tires and hook back up to it. But which is that's another thing with drifting is like that is very uncommon for that to happen, to have like a reliable drift car where you're not.
And I've been watching you do it. I'm like, maybe that's what would be fun. It's because you're not working on it all the time.
Yeah. So.
But if you have to swap the engine, it's not like with drag cars. You just put so much money into it, and when you hurt it, it gets out of hand fast.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, like some of the FD guys, like their engines are,
that would be.
But it's not
sure.
like drag racing where you got $100,000 engine or $50,000 engine. Like the drifting isn't that expensive. Like. I don't know. It's not.
You got a lot more. Well, suspension. I guess it kind of goes hand in hand.
Yeah,
coilovers are coilovers.
Yeah, and then angle kit is a big thing too. Because you got angle kits that range from $1,000 to $3,000 depending on.
Like whole front suspension kit to really make it. So that just makes it a lot more controllable. The angle kit.
It just gives you more angle. So kind of like, I don't know, when the car's sideways, if your angle is like only like this much. It limits you on how aggressive you could drive, on whether or not you could really, really throw it hard and get it sideways, and then being able to match somebody else's angle and
gets into all that. I see. So you want to be able to have the most adjustable car, really?
Pretty much, yeah. Be able to adjust it and kind of, to suit your driving style and kind of what you want to do with it. So
what other projects?
So I have a Supra under a tarp over there, which is a parts car for this one, because I got this one and it was like a shell, so that one's getting torn apart. I have some Saabs. I just rebuilt the Saab last week, front end parts and stuff, because I bought a Saab a long time ago from the auction, and then had to buy another Saab from the auction to like steal all the front end parts off of it to fix this one. But then I finally found all the other parts to fix the one that I stole all the parts off of to make another car again. So I just did that last week. I'd say the next project is another Saab. So I have a Saab outside. There's 2 auctions.
You got one from Houston, right?
Yeah, I bought a flooded one from Houston, and I'm basically going to steal all the front end parts off of it to put in another one that got in a front end wreck, but it like trashed the subframe in the front, like broke the tranny mount and basically the bell housing on the tranny, and so it's all torn out. But and it's a wagon. So the one that I'm fixing is a wagon. The other one is a sedan that was flooded.
And they're all interchangeable.
Yeah, like the front end parts as far as all that stuff. So I'm going to be fixing that, and then going to be kind of relaxing this weekend, and then next week I'm going to sand this thing down again. Had a couple issues with the paint. So
you can see the fender's not sanded yet.
Yeah, so the fender's nice and shiny. The hatch is shiny. The bumper's shiny. But So basically, I'm going to probably respray it next week, and then after that, I'm kind of waiting on some parts for the. Because I think what's going to happen is I'm going to get it almost ready to set in there, like the 2J. Because right now I'm still putting the JZ in the Supra.
Yeah.
But I'm working towards that, and then I might end up.
You look over at the Mustang, like, well.
Oh, like you getting ready to put it in. Oh, we'll just put it over here in this other one.
We'll go beat on this one.
So, yeah, and then I don't know. I am talking to somebody about a Barrett engine. So
you might already have a way to get.
They're so damn expensive. Yeah. Like, so the other thing I thought about doing would be cool is if I put a Coyote engine in the Supra, did like a turbo Coyote engine and made like 8 to 1,000 like that would be sweet because then it would be different.
The only thing that I think sucks at that point is the sound.
Yeah, because like that is one of the reasons I wanted the Supra was because you're like, okay, nice pretty 2JZ sounds, but I kind of get my fill of that with like the drift kart.
Sure.
So then you're like, eh.
Then it's kind of cool to have something different after that.
Yeah.
So what? I don't know, man. I don't know what you would do. You got a few projects for sure. So
sometimes I don't even know what to do. Sometimes I just come down here and I just look around and I'm like, all right, well I could start on this, but I can't get that far. I could start on this, but I ain't gonna get that far. Like clean the shop. I have to clean the shop. Like that's a constant thing. Like you come in here and you like want to start working on something, and then you like your tools are laying around, or there's like this random crap, and then so you like start cleaning the shop, and then all of a sudden it's late, and you're like, well, I didn't get anything done.
And you run a little bit different time than everybody else, huh? You'd rather wake up late.
Yeah, but not recently.
When it's a little quieter.
Like I said, in 2017, I got a 7-month-old baby. Bought a house, moved in with the girlfriend that had the baby with, and so that like it got like a little family now. So it's not like it used to be. I'd come to the shop at like 5 in the afternoon and stay here till like 5 in the morning, and then go to sleep and then wake up at like noon and order parts and stuff and then come down here. So that's changed a lot. I'm actually down here a little bit more during the day and then less at night. And that seems like it just works a lot better with the family and
just
stuff.
Just overall.
But, I'm less productive though because at night there's nobody around.
Sure.
Like
nobody's calling you, texting.
Yeah, there's nobody calling. There's nobody showing up. Like there's no like the parts stores aren't open. I can't like go into town and like go to Lowe's or go to the parts store and be like, oh, I'm gonna go to this pawn shop and then I'm gonna stop over here and like go buy parts from this guy, but he's a guy that I normally bullshit with for like an hour before we like do anything.
There's a 350Z for sale on the marketplace.
Yeah,
check
and then
that out.
it just turns into a thing, and then by the time you get back down here, you're like, okay, well it's like 5 o'clock now.
Right.
Now I'm hungry. So then you like go eat somewhere or come back, and then you're like, well, I'm kind of full. And then
people want to come over and do live feeds and
and then some. I don't know. Like today, I got here. I think it was like noon or so, and then basically got the whole Mustang kind of put back together. I did most of the welding yesterday. Had to finish up some stuff on it today, and then got it pretty much ready. So
what do you think? Are you going to put, I don't know, like a camber kit and everything on? Like you're going to fully build that though, right?
That thing's going to be crazy, but like it just looks all stock right now, but eventually it'll be nuts. But
when do you want to try to have that done by?
Well, right now I'm trying to put it together for like the salvage title inspection so that I can actually get it so it's registered. So I got to make sure like the headlights, tail lights, blinkers, like horn, all that crap like works in it. So it's not going race car yet.
Yeah, get past all the legality stuff.
Yeah, so I'm going to do that and then probably pull it back, bring it in, pull it out, see if there's an easy way to adapt that engine to a manual transmission, and then if not, probably
might be getting a 2J.
We might be setting a 2J in it and trying to make mounts and just going from there. So it's.
You'd have one of the first ones, right? Has anybody really swapped one of those yet?
Not with the JZ. People, I think, like I said, that other guy's putting LS in it.
Yeah.
Because
are the 2Js longer than an LS?
Yeah.
By a fair amount.
Yeah, because I mean the LS is actually almost smaller than the KA that comes in a 240 because it's 4-cylinder,
right.
Like on each side.
Sure.
So, and the JZ is just 6 in a row. So
you got to watch for length.
Yeah, there should be plenty of room in that engine bay though. But yeah, I don't know. I did want to have. I thought about getting a 5-liter one, but they're just so damn expensive on the auctions, And then the only way to get a cheap one is like to get a flooded one. Or like the flooded 5-liter ones went for between like 15 and like 20
Really?
for like a flood, but they were like brand new.
Okay.
Pretty much like off the showroom. They had like 30 miles on them, but
Wow. So that's, I mean, but what you notice with the flood vehicles is the wiring can be.
oh yeah, the wiring is terrible. Like the Saab that I have, there's like a connector on the like.
Yeah, I was watching your video, like
like-
under the center console.
Yeah, and I mean, I think if you were to get a flood vehicle, like the day after the flood.
Sure, it
and-
didn't go
and
sit
you-
somewhere for
you-
6 months before.
You rolled down the windows and you just let it air out, it'd probably be all right. You know, if you pulled out the connectors and sprayed them with like some
Sure.
dielectric stuff and made it. But the issue with the flood vehicles is they've all sat in the auction yards for, you know, a couple
Yeah, I
months
was looking
now.
at
What is
Royal
it?
Purple. They still have all their cars all around it. And
Yeah, yeah, and so like all of those cars, like when I first got this thing, the whole thing was like condensation. You know, all the windows were completely fogged up.
it's
You
still
couldn't-
wet.
Yeah, it was still wet. Like you took the carpet in the back, like the spare tire was full of water.
Holy cow,
Like they
so,
actually
yeah.
shampooed it. Like at the auction place, they like shampooed and pulled all the water out of it, but it was still just completely soaked.
It just still kept.
So
well,
you-
and being down there in Houston where it's humid and
Yeah. But yeah, you look underneath the dash and it's all rusty, and like all the wiring
That's-
connectors have like, you know, corrosion and, you know, the little flaky.
that's a mess.
Yeah.
So
it's-
note to self, if you ever think about buying a,
Yeah, like they look great at first, but you know, and then the other thing is I heard supposedly is that they totaled like complete zip codes. So, you know, like somebody's Corvette that was sitting in their garage that had an inch of water on the ground, you know, they totaled it and they came and got it.
Really?
You know, so then
huh?
like it's like what do you? It's hard to tell on auctions because all the pictures were taken months ago.
So sometimes just all the cars go, and
Mm-hmm.
so it's a random if you get a good one or
Yeah, and you don't know
one that
if-
was full of water.
Yeah, you don't know if that thing was like, you know, way up to the ceiling or
Yeah.
you know, completely submerged or
Or like you said, just the wheels in them or whatever.
yeah, exactly. So I mean, you got to kind of take your chance, especially them being like most of the flood ones are down in Texas. You can't like go see them,
Right.
you know. So you're like, and you don't want to like drive to Texas 100 times or fly there going and inspecting
Just
auction
looking.
cars. Like,
You just hope whatever deal you get's good enough to make it what
pretty
you can.
much. That's how I've always kind of bought my cars. Anyhow, is like you're like, okay, well this thing could need a motor, and I've like bought it cheap enough to where that's okay.
Which you just did.
That's yeah. So,
Your new truck that you're driving.
Yeah, so I got a 2011 F350 Power Stroke from the auction, and it basically I bought it that same way. I was like, okay, clean title, super clean. There's like body and everything really clean. There's no damage on it, and it said mechanical, and I was like, okay, it's probably gonna need an engine. It could be something simple like fuel system or
Sure,
you know,
yeah.
and hopefully I could get lucky, or it could need a damn engine. Turns out it needed an
It
engine.
needed an engine.
You know, which I'm still all right in it. You know, I
Right.
could still sell it and make money on it, or just be happy with it. I have, you know, a lot less in a truck. So,
Right.
but
So does the truck have a cell? Is that a
no, it's clean.
so it's just a mechanical issue deal through the auction? So
Yeah,
that's
and
kinda
it wasn't like an insurance thing. It was like remarketing. So basically, somebody was like, okay, well, I don't want to. They pulled it off their lot, or they took it in on a trade-in and just threw it at the auction. So
nobody wanted. Okay. So I mean, you've done that quite a bit, right? You've flipped cars and stuff too before.
yeah, I kind of mess with cars here and there.
A little
so,
bit, just it's kind of one of the things.
Yeah,
That's how you end up. How many cars do you own right now?
I don't know. Like you'd have to count. I don't know. I'd say it's probably
8 to 10, pretty easy.
like 15
15.
or 16.
So all these
Maybe.
are yours?
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the ones outside and in here and in the back, and then I have ones at my house, and I have another one at my dad's house, and I got trailers, and yeah, I have two, I got cars.
Yeah. So if you guys haven't watched, go to MotionAutoTv on YouTube, and what do you try to post? What, about 3 times a week, or?
Yeah, I try to do a video like every other day, other than weekends, sometimes on weekends, but bare minimum like 2 videos a week. That seems like that kind of satisfies like YouTube's like logarithm and stuff, but 3 days a week seems like it really works well. I think like, you know, if you could do daily videos, but
Sure.
you know, I'm
That's
more
a lot
of
of commitment.
it is, and I'm more of a mechanical type of videos and stuff where I actually like to like complete a task.
Sure.
Versus like, okay, this is what I'm thinking about getting done. Okay, I didn't get it done. All right, let's go home. But here's a video
Right.
of it. You know, I
yeah,
don't
and
wanna
you're
do
more
that.
technical with getting into, like the one I was watching where you're trying to, I guess make the headlights work or whatever with the Tech 2, and you're just explaining to people what you're actually doing,
Yeah.
not just, I'm out playing with cars today, but this is what I'm doing, or sanding on the car, you kind of explain how to like get rid of the orange peel or little imperfections.
Or kind of explain like what I'm looking for when you are sanding a car, or kind of, you know, the levels or stages and stuff. So that's, yeah.
We can go over, see what we got. Bunch of comments. Thanks, guys. I saw somebody, Santiago saying that he's watching from Ecuador, so that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy.
What about pull the engine from a Saab and do a DIY grade for ECU porting and tuning?
Yeah, I've never really messed with like the Saab tuning stuff. As far as
you just like them for drivers?
They're kind of immobilized weird from the factory, so you can't really do a whole lot of stuff with them. I do want to do a like a Saab engine in a drift car though. One thing I have been wanting to do is like a not an EcoBoost drift car, but like an EcoTech. So there was this car I was actually watching on the auction, like the Saturn Skies.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a 2-liter EcoTech, which is basically like the same engine that's in the Saab. It's like a turbo 2-liter.
Oh, okay.
Or like a Cobalt SS or something. But it's rear-wheel drive and has a factory manual transmission. That's it's an AR5. It's very similar to like R154.
Mm-hmm.
So they hold a decent amount of power stock. And I want to get one of those and put it in a 240 because nobody's put it in like a 240 to drift it. But yeah, I don't know.
That'd be something different. You got all sorts of
I have too many ideas in my head, and then you're like, okay, when am I gonna actually have time to do that? Because I have all these other things. And the other thing I wanted to do is get like a, you know, the Trailblazer SSs.
Yep.
How they come with like the 6-liter.
Mm-hmm.
So Saab actually makes it's a 9.7X, and some of them came with a 4-liter like inline 6 or the 4.2 inline 6 engine, but some of them came with a 5.3. And they're all-wheel drive, and it's a lot cheaper than like a Trailblazer SS, but it still has a 5.3 in it. And they make 300 horse stock, and I'm pretty sure it's the aluminum 5.3 too.
LR4s or whatever. Yeah, because that's what I've tried to look for them out of. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so it's an all-wheel drive like little SUV, and I was like, well, I was watching Sloppy Mechanics the other day, and you know what happens when you watch like Sloppy Mechanics? You like get all this turbo LS like shit in your head, and you're just like, all right, like I need to turbo LS something now. And so I'm like, oh, that would be a sweet like family wagon as like a, you know, 500 600 horsepower like Saab like 9.7X, but basically like a Trailblazer SS.
That'd
almost.
be wicked.
You know, if the tranny could hold it, because I know they have like a all-wheel drive 4L 60E, and I'm sure that thing wouldn't like any power, but. No.
That would be a crazy little build, though.
You could always throw like a 4L80 in it, though, and I mean, 500 on a LS like would be nothing. Crazy. Like, and that thing would be insane for a daily driver.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was thinking about that the other day. So I went and I like searched and watched like 10 of them, and then, you know, I'll get an email every couple of days, and one of them will pop up, and I'm like, damn it, I shouldn't even be looking at this right now. I should probably just go to the shop. But
should go work on another project.
Yeah, I should finish one before I try to find 2 more.
So if you guys have any more questions, we can go over those, and then it's up to you if you want to go do a donut in the live feed. We can, or
we could do it live. We could do it just you.
It doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, and you're still on the cell phone internet, so you're not.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we're good.
Well, I'd have to go fire it up and like let it warm up,
see if it
and stuff.
Runs.
But
well, that's all right. I mean, it's pretty late, so.
Yeah, that's not too bad. We could like do like a shop tour. We could like show them all the random crap, because we've just been sitting there for a while. So
got all this unhung.
We're vlogging now.
Now we're vlogging. We had a custom little light set up too for you guys.
To show them the back of it. That's custom.
It's a shop light.
LED shop light with a piece of paper taped on the front of it. So we got some nice soft light for you guys.
That's all those YouTube skills you got.
Yeah, I know. I should probably employ that like in my videos though, because I don't. But yeah, here's the Mustang, and it's glory. I guess we could show you the engine. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's tiny in there. It's got really all sorts of room. That's crazy. What a difference in sound it made. Yeah. In your video when you took like the little intake pipe and stuff up.
It's nuts.
Yeah, that's insane.
It just makes all kinds of noise. So yeah, this is kind of the whole piece that I replaced. Basically this whole upper frame thing, I had to pull the strut tower, do some pushing and pulling on it, and then I basically welded in a piece of tubing down to the frame rail to kind of give it some more strength up front. But yeah, and I'll be basically doing that to the other side too and making it match, because this thing's gonna be kind of race car-ish, but the factory stuff just works really well with holding up the bumper and the headlights.
So you didn't have to tube the whole front end and everything.
Everybody was like, "Oh, tube front end," and I'm like, "No, it's like all the guys in FD that have these things, like they look like this." Like,
really?
Yeah, they tube that down layer, and then they do this, and then do like a bash bar, like a different than the factory. But yeah, we could show them how rowdy it sounds for just like a little
for a little four
cylinder. I mean, it still is a 4-cylinder, but it's cool that it just makes like a bunch of turbo noise from the factory. And
if you guys want to see this car doing donuts, you can go check out Trevor's channel.
Yeah, I was doing a bunch of donuts in it the other day. So yeah, the Supra, that's that main one. You know, this is pretty much, I went from like 25,000 subscribers to like 80,000 subscribers in like a little over a month.
That's insane.
Like when I first got this thing. So yeah, that was
It's nuts. Grown pretty.
Yeah, and so the engine bay was terrible. I mean, I spent a lot of time kind of in gear messing with it, but I did.
It's all smooth and.
Here we could.
There you go.
Yeah, so
yeah, that's cool.
There's like 5 people before me that tried to turn this thing into a race car, and they basically cut out the little aprons or whatever right there. So I spent a lot of time in here, did like trailer tubs, and you know, shaving it and trying to make it super nice. So yeah, that's kind of, I mean, that's what it's looked like for a while now.
For a minute.
Yeah. Then we got the drift car. This thing's, you know, caged 240 SX. The inside of it's kind of clean-ish. If I would clean all my crap out of it, I got like a sleeping bag and stuff in there, but yeah, it's got the cage, and you know, I did like a custom chassis harness, so it's super simple, like the wiring wise.
Yeah, he's explaining to me on this car, he can actually start a 2J like outside of the car using this harness, so he can just kind of swap over and plug it in.
Yeah. So it's super dusty right now because I haven't cleaned it, well, since the last drift event. It's just super dusty there in California. We're like driving through like dirt roads in between tracks and stuff. But yeah, super basic 2J setup. It's a 2J VVTi, and it has the engine. That's the stock ECU in the engine bay, like engine bay fuse. It's like a fuse box, but it's an ECU. So it's mass airflow sensor and map sensor. So I think that's kind of why it lets me get away with doing the whole like single turbo on all this, because it's able to kind of calculate it a little bit better. But yeah, Garrett GTX 3582R on like a super cheap like cast manifold.
So you just have it on wastegate, not really a boost controller or anything?
Yeah, well, just a manual boost controller. But
okay. So
I drift it most of the time on 12 pounds, and then turn it up to like 17. You know, if I ever want to mess around with. On 17, it made like 440. And that's all stock ECU, pump gas, everything.
Super reliable, super easy.
Yeah, I mean, I've banged this thing off the damn rev limiter for basically the past two seasons, you know, and it seems like it's okay with it. So, but yeah, then we don't really have anything over here. That's the other Supra. That's a parts car. It got in a pretty nasty wreck up in I think it was Minnesota, and so it's basically sideswiped this whole way down, and then you can see like right there. That's like the targa top is all tacoed and squeezed in, and
so it really jacked up whole car.
Yeah, it's pretty tweaked. So I thought about there's a guy that has like a hard top half cut for the rear. I thought about getting that and then turning this into a drift car, but then I'm like, how many drift cars do we need?
Then you got some 2Js over here.
Oh yeah, we got JZs. So this is the engine that's gonna go in the Supra. Basically getting ready to tear it down because I'm going to do like head gasket, head studs, valve stem seals, valve springs, retainers, all that stuff. Leave the bottom in completely stock, but I was just kind of mocking stuff up on here just to kind of see how this turbo and manifold and everything
That's pretty slick.
Yeah, so this is a Garrett GTX 3584 RS, and so this turbo, how small it is, it'll support 1,000 horsepower.
Wow, that's pretty crazy.
And it'll spool probably just as fast as the one in my drift car, which that thing spools super quick.
Right.
And yeah, it's crazy with the turbo technology what you can get out of small frame turbos. You know,
billet wheel stuff is crazy.
And so this is Dave's. This is his 2J, and he has a Borg Warner EFR on it, and so he kind of put it over here. It was sitting over there under the shelf looking ugly, and then he's seen mine sitting over here, so he pulled it over and decided to kind of get all his stuff mocked up too. So he's planning on putting this in like SE300 and kind of doing like a poor man Supra.
That'd be cool.
It. So and then
drift that or just to drive it? Just
a driver.
It's got a Honda engine though.
Yeah, that's that S2. This thing's been sitting on the ground for like 2 years, just in that same spot. And yeah, I don't know. Too much stuff. Too many projects.
Yeah, there's a few things to do. Cool. Let's see what else we got. If anybody.
Oh, we could look at the turbo shelf up there.
Yeah, turbo shelf.
Right here.
Oh, all
the random turbos.
All sorts of little projects. These are cool cabinets. I like the cabinets.
Yeah. I just recently got those off of Sam's.
Oh, really?
Sam's.com. Yeah. Well, this whole like. Because if you ever looked at like shop cabinets like this, like something like this, and like some of the like the higher end brands would be like $5 or $6 grand for just this section.
Yeah.
And this was like $1,200.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
And
they're nice and clean. They look good.
because you could put pull all this stuff up and put stuff, and then it's got like a little stainless work top. You put lights underneath.
Those would even work nice for like in a trailer, huh?
Oh yeah. Well, the bad thing about a trailer is you'd have to figure out a way to like actually get them to kind of spring it open. But I mean, I figured making videos, and I try to keep it as clean as I can.
Try to make it look somewhat clean.
Hide all the random crap. So especially like my paint and bodywork area over there, it was like this wooden table with paint cans and stuff stacked on boxes. It was just terrible.
Nothing crazy fancy though, just doing what you got to do to.
Yeah, so just been kind of trying to clean it up as of recently. So.
Alrighty, guys. Well, you got anything else?
No, I think that's about it.
I appreciate Trevor taking some time to hang out and chat cars. And
yeah, I mean, we'd have probably been doing the same thing if it were.
Yeah, that's it. That's what I was like. I'll just start turning the live feed on. So I'm sure I'll be back. We'll do some more, and maybe if I put something together for drifting this summer,
we'll get him out of drifting.
We'll figure something out.
You should come out on the 18th.
Yeah.
We'll go
do
some
run up there.
BMW or something. I thought about bringing the Mustang and trying to slide
Might
it
as well.
just in like it's like
automatic
it's like
mode
car,
and
like it's rental car mode.
Because
that's what it is. Like these things, the 2.3 autos is what they rent.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I thought about doing that. I probably will do that. I don't know if I can figure out how to get it up there.
So if you guys haven't, check out his channel, like his pages, everything, please. And then you've done some giveaways. You doing another one?
Yeah, so we're planning on doing so we gave away a 95, basically the same thing as my drift car.
Right.
2J VVTi, but like a street car, so it had full interior, all that stuff. A little bit smaller turbo that would actually make more power than this one, because mine's the Gen 1, that was the Gen 2.
Oh, I gotcha.
But yeah, we did a car giveaway with that.
Plan on doing another one here?
Plan on doing another one like shortly, probably the next couple months. I don't know.
So keep an eye out for that.
It's all up in the air. It gets, I don't know.
It gets hectic
the
when
priority list is weird. So.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you guys later.
Yeah.
Thanks.
See you later.